The NFC West, aka the most competitive division in football last year, and the division that took over the playoffs by storm. We're gonna go over each team, what I think their prediction record was gonna be, what their prospects look like going into next season, what they can do to improve what they have done so far, what I think of it, and let's just dive in. So let's go with the least interesting team of the bunch, the Arizona Cardinals. They finished 3-14, and I don't see them doing much better than that next season. Their quarterback situation is a big question mark, and since Mendoza's guaranteed to be gone, and Jacoby Brissett is solid, but he's not the answer, obviously. Um, I feel like there's a universe where the Cardinals can keep Brissett if they do have him. They can keep Brissett or a veteran. Yeah, they have Brissett though. They keep Brissett or a veteran. They have Gardner Minshew. You know, I've heard what Garoppolo coming into Arizona. Like these names aren't really sparking too much of a hope or beacon of shining future for the Arizona Cardinals fans. I will say, in their defense, they do have Tyler Algier, who's been proving productive in Arizona. They still have their boy in the tight end, McBride. They have some decent pieces, you know, but they aren't enough to make you feel confident about the team, right? And I was going to say about the quarterback is this class, while it isn't as strong or as top heavy as 2024, as blah, 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 previous classes, what we can see with these two veteran quarterbacks in the team is that you can just take and stash a quarterback that you believe in. Whether it is Ty Simpson, whether it is Carson Beck, you know, take him and stash him. Because you know the coach is staying for at least another year. Let them see their veteran develop. Now, I think they should have a better veteran than Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew. I do 100% believe that. But, you know, wishes were horses, old men would ride, or poor men would ride. And we're not really in that situation right now, so I take it where you can leave it. Now, that is the ideal situation. What I think they're going to probably do is try to improve their roster to make it somewhat palatable for the next year. Then they can address the quarterback situation. That's the fuck they're gonna do because like they're not gonna win more than like 4 or 5, 6 games, maybe. Like this team isn't really doing much, but their future, while it is also as murky as it can possibly be, they do know how to spot a couple of talents here and there, and they do get lucky on drafts here and there. So maybe they will go back to the playoffs when the rest of the teams in the division have like a down year. When Darnold contract is up and someone's paying him $20 billion a year, and he goes out to Miami or something. Who knows? Brock Purdy, like he looks, I don't know. Like Brock Purdy looks like a Boy Scout. I don't know what to tell you. Like there's nothing bad about him. He just looks like a Boy Scout. That's basically it. What I'm trying to say is like the rest of these teams, their like next 2 3 years are basically set in stone. After that, it's a big question mark. Arizona, the next 2 3 years are a big question mark, but after that, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see what they're trying to do. They want to build a team that can last for longer than like a second, and they're not doing that right now. So, Cardinals fans, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm so sorry. I hope you guys get a good draft pick the first day. You're eating Kyler Murray's dead cap for a little bit, but it's not that bad because you wanted to move on from him since like 2 years ago. So what are we talking about? And I don't know, man. It's just not looking great. It's just not looking great for them. That's it. That's all I got. Let's go on to more interesting teams because Jesus Christ. The San Francisco 49ers. So they signed Mike Evans. I believe that means they're going to let Jennings walk. I don't think they should, but that basically what that's telling me. And if they let Jennings walk, then they trust in this fully all pro first team injured roster they got going on over here. They got C-Mac injury prone, Brock Purdy injury prone, Ayuk CTE terminal, Mike Evans injury prone, Javon Jennings. I think he had an injury lingering to the end of the season or like in the middle of the season. He got injured. I was trying to say Ricky Pascal got shot. George Kittle literally shattered his ankle in like the first drive of a playoff game. Trent Williams injury prone, even if he stays, which is I highly doubt. What I think the free agency period is over though. But signing Trent Williams now would be disgusting because that would be such a nasty cap. But I'm not a cap guy, so I don't really want to talk about. Nick Bosa, injury prone. Fred Warner literally just got destroyed injury wise. Like they just don't have the luck. Like they had the Ravens luck like a couple years ago where like all their all pros just got decimated by injuries. And it happens every single year, so much to the point that there's a video essay on whether or not there's a conspiracy of the electrical field causing I don't know what passive damage to all their ligaments. like, like the 49ers are cursed. But assuming everything goes well and no one gets hurt and Brandon Ayuk's terminal CTE is permanently resolved and he gives the team his money back, which I think he's owed anyway. I mean, they owe him anyway, but no, I think he owes them anyway. But what? They're still a decent team. They have an excellent head coach, borderline Hall of Fame head coach right now. You know, it's debatable, obviously, but you know he has a resume for it. And their uniforms are just amazing. Like they passed the uniform eye test that makes me think that they're gonna do some things impressive. But if we're being realistic, Mike Evans is gonna be out for like half the season. Brock Purdy's gonna be out for like a couple weeks. McCaffrey, he basically carried the 49ers, and that means his entire nervous system is gonna be on the fritz. And if he isn't careful, out for the entire season. George Kittle, I genuinely mean this George Kittle. When is the last time he played a full season? That's crazy. Like this man is literally, I think he signed that contract and has been playing like one out of every 4 years after that contract. It's insane. He's still worth the money, but it's just so crazy to see how good he is. Just gets like snapped every single time, you know. And Nick Bosa obviously isn't going to be the same. He's 28, coming off of like a gruesome injury from like week 4, I believe, in last season. Fred Warner, I believe he was like I'll explain. He was not battle ready, but he was play ready for the conference championship if they did have one, but they clearly lost, so they didn't get to have one. Long story short, they're gonna start off rusty, but I think they're gonna finish off with maybe 11, maybe 10 wins. This division is tough as all get, but the Seahawks are. I'll talk about them in a second. The Seahawks are going to be the same team that literally dominated the league last year, so I'm not too worried about the 49ers. What I am worried about the 49ers is Mac Jones is being held by the 49ers because they want to have a reliable backup with Brock Purdy get hurt again. Now, to me, like, okay, there's I'm out of two minds that decision, right? Logically, it makes sense because Brock Purdy is, you know, last year, right? If it wasn't for Mac Jones, they're not making the playoffs. Just be real. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. And Brock Purdy was so rusty that they had to put Mac Jones back in there to just have Brock Purdy just fully heal because he thought his job was on line. It never was. The moment Brock Purdy signed that like Omega Max contract, his job was never on the line unless he literally just like defecated on the bed. So I don't know why they both rushed him out when he wasn't clearly ready with that turf toe injury and basically cost him the game with a abysmal performance. But they're playing it safe for Mac Jones. And also logically, for Mac Jones, all the good roster spots that could use a competent quarterback are gone. Now all you got left is the Jets, the Browns, and the Cardinals. And I just mentioned the Cardinals being one of the worst outlooking teams in the entire division, let alone the entire conference. Why'd you want to go there? You know, the bag is not worth it. Look at Malik Willis. Like, he got paid, but like it's more like a modest team-friendly deal of a payment. And if he fails, and like that team's gonna end up being, you know, not holding a bag too much, like Tua. They learned a lesson, at least for now, anyway. So for the Mac Jones coin holders that were going to bank on him rising, like me, for example, I was predicting going to the Steelers. Maybe it just didn't happen. They're another team I want to talk about, but that's a later video. But yeah, so assuming all goes well, Niners still should be pretty good, but nothing goes well with this team. This team is cursed. And I mean that in a non-cringe Reddit way. They are definitely cursed. They're going to be ruining the day of their injury. Also, this division is competitive as all get. They're going to be worth watching still. They still put out highlight plays. They still have Trent Williams. They still have Nick Bosa. They added a few pieces. And I could see them doing something crazy next year. But we'll see. The Los Angeles Rams. Fellow the ball. The team that is making me, I guess, question a couple of their moves, right? Like when I say question, I don't mean like it's a bad thing, but question as in like this is possibly your last year with Matthew Stafford at peak, with Devontae Adams at peak, Puka Nakua's CTE slowly crippling and eating his brain cells away. Like I've been seeing images and videos of him slowly becoming an Antonio Brown-esque receiver where his talent is superseding his intelligence. And when I say that, I mean he's literally just becoming a caveman. And it's going to get to the point where it's starting to concern other people. But if you push that aside for a second, assume all things go well, you have 1 year left for the Rams. And the Rams are desperate. And they kind of overpaid Trent McDuffie. Now, don't get me wrong. He is a phenomenal player. I'm not saying anything like he's not worth the money. He's a phenomenal player.
Making moves, getting another first
oh,
round.
brother. Oh, brother. Oh, why are you playing, bro? I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying that was kind of like their main free agency splash, and they didn't do anything else for the most part. A big name defender that they needed to patch up on. That was their downfall in the postseason, in the later half of the regular season, right? I've been hearing like the Trent McDuffie signing was more of we think we can use him better than the Chiefs did. The Chiefs have a legendary coaching staff that kind of made him worth getting in the first place. So they might not be able to utilize him the way Kansas City had because they're not Kansas City. They're the Los Angeles Rams. So my backfire in their face given how much they put into getting Trent McDuffie. But given, like I mentioned before, they're so desperate. This is their last year of Matthew Stafford potentially at his peak, at his Hall of Fame level. They kind of needed to just swing at anything breathing that is above a competent level. So therefore, it's starting to make sense. As of right now, they are the most competitive team in this division, like they were last year. I still believe that. But it comes down to execution. Can they pull it off? Can they be lucky with injuries? Can they have a decently, moderately okay schedule? And can they beat Seattle enough times to go to the Super Bowl again? Because for me, they are still top 3, top 4 Super Bowl favorites in my eyes to go at it again because they have the MVP for flip's sake. Like, let's be real here. They have the MVP. So the Rams have probably the best chance of stealing this division title and just running rampant with it here. Now, the other team who my stock is starting to plummet on is the Seahawks. And the reason why I'm down to Seahawks is just very simple. They just lost their entire defense, essentially. They didn't lose everybody, but they essentially lost their entire defense. They lost their Super Bowl MVP, and they don't have any draft picks. They have their first, second, third, and sixth round draft picks for this upcoming draft, and that's it. And for defensive help, the way you build up the roster is you get those second and third day picks that nobody really cares about in the fourth and fifth draft, or fifth round and sixth round, and they don't have those picks. Like they have second and third round picks, which they kind of need to patch up some holes that are more immediate threats versus like the defense, what they need for insurance. So they're in a bit of a dire straight situation. I believe the front office and the coach and the GM can find a way to circumnavigate around everything, so it's not going to be too dire or too bad of a situation. But as of right now, it doesn't look too great for them. I'm not really like optimistic or anything. So, and apparently the 49ers signed Christian Kirk. That was a sneaky deal. I like that deal. I love him on the Texans. Anyway, I want the Seahawks though to come into this next offseason or come to this next season now Super Bowl expectations, but with please, can we make it to the playoffs? Because I feel like the Seahawks make it to the playoffs, they can go back to Super Bowl. But the problem is, can they make it to the playoffs? With every NFC team loading up, and with every NFC team setting their sights back into being a real competitive front and a threat to the Seahawks Super Bowl repeating, legacy on the line, it's gonna be tough for them. Because if we look at the rest of the teams in the NFC that are loading up, that are seriously trying to swing and take that spot, we have New York. Got to take them seriously. We have to. We have Dallas. Unfortunately, take them seriously. We have Chicago. We have Detroit. We have Green Bay. We have Minnesota. Let's all take them seriously. We have the Rams. Got to take them seriously. There's already enough teams to just immediately knock the Seahawks out of contention alone, right? Even if you don't add in the Falcons or the Panthers or the Saints, that's enough to knock Seahawks just purely from mathematical standpoint. So the Seahawks missing the playoffs, I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but if it does, I'm not going to be surprised because it's just there's so much movement in the NFC now. The NFC feels like because anybody could have got that chip last year, that this year's going to be this year. This year's going to be their year, and they're going to be foaming at the mouth, very hungry. Very, very hungry. And I don't think there's much they can really do. I'm kind of scared for Seahawks fan. In a good way, because you got your chip, so you can't be that mad at it. You know, you went and did the thing. That's all you can really ask for. Yeah. Did I get my record for the Rams and the Niners? I think I said Niners 10, 11 wins, Rams 12 to 14 wins. The Seahawks 8 to 10 wins. I'm giving ranges because I'm more of what's their high ceiling or what's their floor. That's where I'm at. Sam Darnold carried them in the first half of the season. The defense carried them second half of the season, and then they alternated depending on each other throughout the rest of the playoffs. Which, hey, it's a team game. I love that for them. But they don't have that solid of a roster anymore. Really, really just touch and go there. But if they make the playoffs, they can still take it all and repeat. They just gotta make it. That's all I'm saying.